At the heart of these reforms before us today is one word and one simple question. The word is victims, and the question is how do we ensure that victims actually receive the justice that they are promised? Members of the House will know before coming to this place I served as a police officer over 3 different forces, and during that time I saw firsthand the impact crime has on people's lives. I met victims at some of the worst moments they will ever experience, often after deeply traumatic incidents. But what always stayed with me was the faith that victims placed in our justice system. They believe that if they report what has happened and they come forward and they endure the stress of an investigation and a trial, that the system will ultimately deliver justice. They believe that institutions in this country, the police, the courts and the rule of law will stand behind them. And when victims report a crime, they are making a promise to us and the justice system that they will follow through and endure the issues that they have to endure. The least that we can do is ensure the justice system keeps its promise back to them. But today, far too often, that faith is being tested. I regularly meet victims and victims groups who speak about the anxiety, uncertainty and sheer exhaustion that comes with waiting for their case to reach court. Many have done everything that we have asked them to, reported the crime, given evidence, supported the investigation, only to be left waiting months and years for a conclusion. Through my work on the Justice Select Committee, I viewed extensive evidence about the state of the courts, and the reality is stark. The Crown Court backlog has more than doubled since 2019. Trials are taking longer, and for some of the most serious offences, particularly rape and sexual assault, victims are waiting well over a year on average for their cases to conclude. And beyond those numbers are real people, victims who cannot move on with their lives, families left in limbo, and witnesses forced to relive traumatic experiences as hearings are delayed or postponed. Justice delayed really does become justice denied. Before going further, I just want to recognise the people who keep our justice system running. The magistrates, judges, court staff, they all do extraordinary work. Magistrates in particular give up their time voluntarily to serve the public and uphold the rule of law in their communities. Too often we talk about the pressures on the justice system without recognising the people who are holding it together. They deserve our gratitude, but they also deserve a system that properly supports the work they do, and that is why this reform is necessary. The reality is that cases today are more complex than they once were. Digital evidence, mobile phone data, body-worn video, modern forensic techniques, all of it has improved and improved the fairness of trials, but they've also made cases longer and more demanding to process. The measures in the bill seek to address that. Giving magistrates greater sentencing powers will allow more cases to be resolved in the Magistrates' Court, freeing up Crown Court capacity for the most serious offences. Similarly, allowing courts greater flexibility in determining where cases should be heard helps ensure that the most serious crimes are not competing for court time with cases that could be resolved more quickly elsewhere. Another important aspect of the bill is the modernisation of the courts. For too long, our justice system has lagged behind the technology available for it. Victims still face unnecessary barriers when trying to access transcripts or understand the progress of their case. Using technology more effectively can make the system faster, more transparent and more accessible. And finally, I want to briefly address the removal of the presumption of parental involvement from the Children Act. For many years, survivors of domestic abuse and campaigners have raised concerns about what has sometimes been described as a pro-contact culture within parts of the family court system. Organisations such as PEEPSA, which support survivors of post-separation abuse, has welcomed the government's decision to repeal the presumption of parental involvement. They have long warned that a pro-contact culture can risk sidelining the safety of children and survivors. I will give way.
Thank you for giving way. Too many women have told me that the family courts felt like an extension of the abuse that they were trying to escape. Does he agree that by ending the presumption of parental involvement, that's a crucial step towards ensuring that children's safety, not an automatic assumption of contact, is a starting point in every case?
I thank my honourable friend for intervention. I completely agree, and children must never be used as a tool through which abuse can continue after separation. Removing the presumption also sends a clear message that children's safety and well-being must always come first. And of course, reforms of this scale will rightly be scrutinised as the bill progresses. But the alternative, doing nothing, is simply not acceptable. Without reform, the backlog will grow, victims will continue to wait, and confidence in our justice system will continue to erode. Justice is the foundation of public confidence in this country. When victims lose faith in the system, the rule of law itself begins to weaken. So this bill is about restoring the faith and ensuring that when victims come forward, the justice system is ready to stand behind them. And for that reason, I'm pleased to support the bill today.